My name is Debbie and I'm from Asheville. I live in the city. I have 5 children. 4 of them are heroin addicts or recovering heroin addicts by the grace of God. 4 today and today only. When I knew that they were on heroin, when I actually found out what they were doing, it was probably 6 years. My oldest one started doing drugs when he was 14 years old, drinking, smoking weed. I never knew the extent of how bad it was until he was older, and then they would reveal stuff to me. My daughter is an LPN and she gets migraines and she has a lot of anxiety, so she started abusing her prescription drugs, and in the process was introduced to heroin through her brother, and it just spiraled out of control. I think I'm just offering hope to those moms, the parents, siblings, the addict themselves, that it can be done. You can recover. It all started, I didn't know anything about heroin. Back in 2010, 2011, my son committed a crime that landed him in prison 30 years to life. That was a hard pill to swallow at the time. In fact, the 2 youngest ones of mine, one was in the Army, one was in the Marine Corps. When all this was taking place, the youngest one that was in the Marine Corps was in Afghanistan, in Marja, being shot at. I could not tell him that his middle brother was being sentenced for murder. I couldn't tell him that. He would call once a month and I just couldn't tell him until he came back to the state, and that's when everything just spiraled out of control. And about 6 months later, my daughter revealed to me that her and her sibling, along with their 4 kids, were going to have to move in with me because they were heroin addicts. They were going to be homeless. So I thought I could run my house like a rehab facility. Come to find out, it doesn't work that way. In a nutshell, my daughter sought out help. She was in Turning Point for 8 months while her kids lived with me. She got out 2 months later and relapsed and overdosed. I got a phone call from Children's Services wanting to know where she was at. I had no idea. Didn't scare her enough though to stop her. In the meantime, my son was running heroin from Cleveland to Ashtabula so that he can feed his own addiction. He got caught in Lake County with enough heroin to give him a good felony. He was facing 1.5 years in prison as well. And my whole life was just spiraling out of control. I can't have 2 kids in prison and they're all on heroin. It was just really bad. I'm raising 4 grandkids after I had already raised 5. I was seeking out for help through Nar-Anon, through recovering addicts, really are the ones that gave me the hope. Those that are in recovery gave me the hope because they showed me that they could do it. You can overcome addiction. And because of that, I never gave up hope on my kids. My daughter, when she was with my son in Lake County and they got busted, she was driving the car. They also said that they could throw her in prison as well. It scared her enough to go seek help. She is now 3.5 years clean and sober. She holds a job. She has her children. My son, when he got caught, I took custody of his kids because they were 2 and 5 at the time. All he kept saying on the way home from the hospital, because they couldn't arrest him because it was out of their jurisdiction, that this guy's going to come and cap me. He's going to put a cap in me. And I told him this was your choice, but not your kids. I took his children. I got full custody of them. He finally got arrested by the APD, thank God. On Easter, I got a phone call, "Mom, your prayers were answered. I've been arrested." They took him to Lake County Jail where he weighed in at 111 pounds. His skin was gray. He did not look good. He sat in there for about 3 months and I thought that he was okay. So I bonded him out. Big mistake. As soon as I bonded him out, he went back to using again. So I had to throw him out of my house because his kids were living with me. So I threw him out. He lived on Walnut Beach in a tent for quite a while. That was really hard to do. He found a place, but in the meantime, he kept losing weight and losing weight and losing weight. He got arrested in the courtroom. I had his bond revoked. when he went to go get sentenced. 18 months in prison or 3 years probation. He is 22 months clean now. He got back custody of his kids last month. He has a new baby. He's held a job the same place for a year and a half now. He is going to be working part-time at Glen Bay. There is hope. There is hope for recovery. There is hope for your children. There is hope for our loved ones. Just don't ever give up. Like, I had no clue, and I just thought that I could run my house like a rehab center. You guys won't use, or I'll throw you out. And a year and a half later, they were still living there with me and never giving up that hope. I have watched my kids go through recovery, but I also know that it's one day at a time. I blamed myself when I found out that they were using. I blamed myself because I was a working mom, even though I said that I wouldn't go to work until all the kids were in school. Maybe it was because I got divorced. Maybe I should have got them counseling. There were a lot of things that I put the blame on myself. If I would have been a better mom, if I would have listened. I know now that I can't take the blame for their choices. I think a lot of it is the guilt. I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know what to do. What do you do with that? First, I didn't even know what the drug was or how it was used. I mean, my daughter had to explain to me what heroin was and what you do with it. I see so many people saying things like, just let them die if they're a junkie and they're out prostituting for their drugs. But that's somebody's child. That's somebody's loved one. You don't give up. And it doesn't have any discrimination. I know a woman personally that I used to work with whose husband had arthritis so bad that he became an addict. He was out getting heroin. He ended up dying at 76 years old from heroin overdose. It has no discrimination. I think I've learned the hard way not to sit there and judge somebody else, because it comes back at you. And that could be your child. It could be your mother. It happens so fast. It happens so fast. I never saw it coming. Like with my son that's incarcerated 30 years to life. I knew he was doing things. I guess I wanted to turn a blind eye because I didn't know how to deal with it. So if you think that something's going on with your loved one, go ask questions. Go find out. Go get information. Get educated. And that's where I think there's an issue there too, with lack of education. The signs to look for about how to deal with it. Not to label, but to treat them like they're a human being and their life is worth something. Just to never give up hope on your child. Don't ever give up hope. Seek any avenue that you can, not just for your child, but for yourself. Because I got to the point sometimes where I was obsessed with, I would drive past my son's house, or I would call him or text him if I could, just to see if he would answer, to know he was still alive. You need to take care of yourself too. But get educated. Get educated. Find people that you can go get help, support. There's so many support groups out there. Seek out those that are in recovery. Like I said, and I won't mention names, but there are people out there that gave me so much hope because they showed me that, look, you can do this. And sometimes they can give you a perspective from the addict's point of view in recovery as to being a parent. This is what you need to do. You need to just tell them, no, I'm not giving you money. I'm not going to do this for you. Don't enable your kids. That for me is still like a big issue, because I also know that once they walk out that door, I might not see them again. So that's the really tough part. It was really hard to have my son arrested in the courtroom. He called me that day, a couple hours later, and he said, why are you doing this to me? I'm not hurting you. I don't hurt anybody. If anything, I mean, if I want to go out and get high, I should be able to go out and get high. I'm not hurting anyone. And I said, well, then why are your kids living with me? Why do I have to hear them crying? Why do I have to take them to go get counseling? It does hurt. It plays a ripple effect. It ripples out into society. You can't hold a job, and then employers can't keep people employed. You have to find another employee, or, it's just, it's bad all the way around. But I just never gave up hope. I watched my daughter seeking treatment before she went into Turning Point. And I remember her going through the phone book. She had a notepad and she was on the front porch. And she was shaking. She was dope sick. And she knew she was on unemployment. She was going to get a check. But she told me, Mom, if I don't get help, I'm going to die. I'm going to overdose either on purpose, because I'm going to go drive down to the river and I'm just going to give myself more than what I need. So I go to sleep and don't come back. Or I'm going to accidentally overdose. She goes, I need help. When your kids ask for help, do whatever you can to find that. Make connections. Call anybody that you possibly can to get them the treatment that they need. People, have given me encouragement and I just want to give it back. I kept seeing on Facebook all these people that are overdosing and something needs to be done. And it's like, I'm so tired of seeing it. Why can't we do something? We've got to do something. And even if it's just one person, even if one person's life changes, that's somebody's child or somebody's dad, it's worth it to me.